Welcome back to the Great Imposters Podcast.
Welcome back. We were just talking about my new haircut.
We're talking about Annie's new haircut. We were also talking about diving right in. You know what you wear when you dive right into something? A bathing suit.
A bathing suit. Spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert. Another great segue for this episode. We have a really, great / sad / heavy / important.
Like, I'm so excited for this episode, and I hate this episode at the same time.
Yeah, I don't hate it, but
I'm excited to do it, but I hate talking about this stuff. But it's so important to talk about.
It's so important to talk about. We're going to make everyone a little uncomfy. We're going to
Myself
make
included.
particularly ourselves.
Yeah.
But the good news is we do have our Banter Queen sweatshirts on.
Yes.
Shout out to my girl Audrey who made them for us. Look, if you're looking on YouTube, we got the patch with our logo on the arm. We got the Queen name tag on the wrist, and it says Banter Queen. And hey,
Queen,
maybe if we scale this enough, we'll be able to sell this merch one day.
Yes.
Amazing.
We're gonna get DJ Dex a
Banter King.
Yeah, Banter King.
Hell yeah. So basically, today's episode is about body image, and I know Annie's taking a deep breath. Particularly body image in adults. So we took a similar approach that we took to our friendship episode, where we put out a survey on our social media and got a lot of responses that fucking rocked us, if I could be.
It was so hard to read.
It was so hard to read. A lot of it was hard to read. Maybe it was also the way we phrased questions, but whatever it was,
hard to read because it was so sad and relatable.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we're really taking this as a huge responsibility to deliver this conversation.
Yeah.
And I want to say this up front in case you start to fade towards the end. This is going to be a one-parter, but there are so many directions we can go in.
Yeah.
After this. So please send us a message, a DM, an email, whatever you want, to after this episode so we can see where we should take this from here. Because I don't think this is a one-part episode of anything.
No. It's just such a doozy.
It's a doozy. So why don't we start, Annie? Why don't you're good at you're the data girly of the two of us.
Data girly.
And I just sit here. So Annie's going to read the questions first that we sent in the survey to gauge kind of body image. I don't know if we say confidence. It was just a body image survey.
Yeah. How do you feel? Does imposter syndrome show up in how you feel about your physical appearance? Okay. So first thing, similar to the friendship episode, we wanted male and female respondents. So we first asked your gender. We did get some males who responded, and thank you.
Thank you. Yeah. That was really helpful.
Yeah. And that's such an important layer of the conversation too, to remember that both sexes do struggle with this.
Yes.
Then we asked your age because we always like to be kind of grounded in, what age bracket is answering this. Because again, to refresh, because of I think Joelle and I's ages and our audiences, the majority of y'all were in your 30s. Next was 40s. Then we had some respondents in their 20s and a couple in their 60s.
Aw.
Thank you.
Friends of moms, maybe?
Friends of moms. Maybe
our moms?
Maybe roommate dad responded.
Maybe.
But the big question, or the kind of grounding data question, was around, on a scale of 1 to 5, how comfortable do you feel in your own body? So where are you at in your body confidence journey? And then just to give you guys an understanding of how that broke down, 50% of people gave themselves a 3. So most of you feel
right down the middle.
Right down the middle. Some of you feel great on some days probably and not very great on other days. The next largest response group was a 2. I know I personally gave a 2. I was I probably should have given a 1, but I gave a 2. So, and then after that, we had the next largest was 4s, and then we had a couple 5s. So good for you. Maybe we need to have the 5s on here. Is what we need to do.
Yeah.
Okay. So then the next questions, which I'm going to run through, and again, then Joelle and I will go back to them and discuss. But what we wanted to know, because it pertains to imposter syndrome, is, has this caused you to not do something in your life?
The way you feel in your own skin, has that caused you to not do something?
So then we asked people to explain. Then we wanted to understand, what do your physical insecurities pertain to? Because we suspected that people's answers would be pretty different. And then we asked people, how often do you think about it? So asking them from I don't think about it at all to it consumes me. Then we asked, does the way you feel about your body cause you to feel that you don't belong in certain settings? And then we asked you to tell us a little bit more about that. What are some of the settings you don't feel like you've belonged in? Then we wanted to know what you think is to blame.
Who or what is the reason why we feel this way?
Yeah, exactly. And then we asked, how can we help?
We're going to spend the most time on this, I think, because this was a write-in answer, and this is where we feel like it's our duty as your podcasters to dive into this. So we took the top answers of this write-in section of how can we help? What would you like us to discuss? And we're going to listen, spoiler alert, Annie and I do not have this all figured out, but we're here for you. We're having the conversation, and we are going to do our best to go through those top answers and talk through them. Okay, so let's start with, actually, before we do this, I think it would be fun and interesting for Annie and I to both give just like a macro takeaway. So she and I both digested this data separately and together, and we both, I feel like, it's like it was a big wow when we got this stuff back.
Yeah.
And I want to give we wanted to start with our top 2 takeaways each, or 2 or 3, one, whatever, of what we noticed. So I'll go first.
Okay.
My first takeaway is that, and it was optionally anonymous. I guess that's important to note because we asked to put your email so that we can email you about when the episode drops. So I knew who some of the people were. Some people didn't put their email, which is totally fine and completely understandable.
I was really impressed with the creativity in which y'all made up fake email addresses.
The fake email addresses were funny because it was a mandatory field, so you couldn't skip it.
Yeah.
But it was like, no thanks at gmail.com or like a lot of that stuff, whatever.
Some cryptic. Someone tried to send us a message.
Someone tried to send us a message. It was like, hey, Joelle and Annie. And then they like wrote something out at gmail.com. So if that was you.
If that was you, will you email us? Because we can't figure out who you were.
Yeah.
And you said something about having a baby. So I don't know if you were telling us you were pregnant.
Yeah.
But will you please?
Yeah, let us know.
Send me a message.
That's been keeping us up at night.
Literally.
So my biggest takeaway has to do with the people who I knew or could picture. So I could kind of see who was putting what. Mm-hmm. What I want everyone to know who's listening is that there is zero correlation between the way someone presents and the way they feel about their body. Zero. There are people who you probably pass on the street that you're like, wow, I wish I looked like that, who have zero confidence in themselves and so much imposter syndrome about their own body, and maybe it's just I guess my point is this is an inside job. This is a complete inside job, and there's zero correlation to being like conventionally attractive and having body confidence.
Yes.
So that's my number one takeaway.
Yes.
The other would be that the amount of people who this is very general, the amount of people that wanted us to talk about this, period, that were like, I just want you to talk about this, period. That's all I want. Like, I just need you. I need to know I'm not alone.
Yeah.
And to me, I was like, I don't know. I didn't really know what to expect from this, but it was not what I expected.
Yeah.
That's all I can say.
Yeah.
So those are my top 2 takeaways. What about you?
My top takeaways were like how this personally kind of impacted me because we wrote the survey together. So we came up with the questions and then I answered the questions and it was like reopening a lot of body image wounds for me personally, which is why I jokingly said like, I hate this episode because I don't hate it. I want to have these conversations, but this is for sure we're on this will be episode 11. And this is the most anxiety I've ever had recording one because it's such a hard thing for me to talk about because it is a deep, long standing issue. So I personally felt so seen reading the responses, like you said, of people just being like, I don't know, but thanks for talking about it. Because that's how I feel. There were so many people that were like, how can you help? I don't know, just have these conversations. And that's kind of how I feel. Like, I don't think there's an antidote. I think this is actually... My second takeaway is like, I actually think this is like a public health crisis. Like I think where we're at in society with social media, with, just the medical system, with the accessibility of different treatments and surgeries and different things. And then again, like the new layer is seeing people all the time on the internet
Yeah.
Like this is truly, I think this is like, this goes beyond what we can obviously solve on the podcast, but I genuinely really want to help it because I think we're in the midst of a huge public health crisis. We know that about, teenage girls. We've heard the data around what social media is doing to them, and how toxic and damaging for their mental health it can be. And so to read that even, my fellow women in their 30s are still struggling with it was both promising and that like I feel more connected and not alone, but also like, whoa, this is like a big issue.
Something needs to happen.
Something needs to happen.
I think we can't be so like flippant about the way things are. Like we actually need to start a little bit of a revolution.
Yeah.
So let's start it on the Great Imposters podcast, shall we?
Let's start it.
So what Annie and I are going to do is we're going to go through each answer. We're going to give you the data and we're also going to answer it ourselves. Like we're going to take the survey live here on the podcast. So first question that we'll start with is on a 1 to 5 scale, how comfortable do you feel in your own skin? Annie already gave hers. What did you say, 2?
I said a 2. To give you guys an understanding of how uncomfortable I am in my own skin, I don't watch these episodes. I don't watch the clips. I don't look at pictures of myself often. I asked DJ Dex to like zoom out because he films in 4K and I didn't need to see like so many things on my face or how many chins I have when I'm expressing myself deeply.
God, I hate this, Annie.
I know this is really hard for me. And a lot of people will be like, oh my God, don't say that about yourself. But again, it's like, it's important.
Yeah, no, we need to, we're not sugarcoating anything.
Right.
Here.
It's like, you have to say, sometimes you have to let people know that's where you're at in your journey. So yes, like I have literally texted Dex on the side and been like, can you fucking like zoom out in that clip, bro? Like, why are you up in like this angle right now? I said it more respectfully, right? Dex, he's nodding.
No, he's typing.
Yeah. So I'm a 2. I mean, really, I could have given myself a 1. But yeah, I'm in a rough place on the journey. I've had a lot of numerical weight fluctuations.
Do you weigh yourself?
I do weigh myself.
What do you think about that?
I think it helps because I think it helps when you're making progress.
Sure.
It doesn't help when you're in a cycle of life where you feel like you're doing what you physically can to change that number or help it, but you're not. Like it works when the number is moving in the direction you want it to, and then it's really toxic when it's not. But at the same time, it's like you can't really move the number in the direction you want to without continuing to look at that.
Yeah.
So, but I do think numerical weight, as we all know in the medical system too, is a really fucked up metric. There's so much beyond that metric.
For sure.
Yeah. So I try not to get too hung up on it, but I do weigh myself. What's really hard for me is like, oftentimes what we're realizing now is like people that maybe don't conventionally look like fit or conventionally look like they eat, clean or whatever, oftentimes really are. And that's hard to be a person that maybe doesn't conventionally look like the fittest person ever, but like I could I'm going to brag. This is really rare for me, but like I can literally do like the best push-ups you've ever seen in your life, and I could do 26 right now. Like I could probably do more push-ups than Dex.
Go.
Maybe I will. Like I am in extremely good shape. I work out so hard and all the time, and I've never been in a better physical health in those measurements place in my life, but I hate the way I look right now. So it's like, it sucks.
Yeah.
Those things often don't align
I think
the way
that's,
we want them to.
But I'll say, I think that's very relatable for a lot of people.
I hope.
I think even some of the surveys that we got back said like, I'm in the fitness world. Multiple of them said I'm in the fitness world, but it doesn't look like I am.
Yeah.
Or what, whatever that means. So, yeah, I mean, I totally understand that like kind of discrepancy in your mind and within yourself. But, I would take that as like the way I would take that if I can turn it positive.
Yeah.
For you. I don't want to be like toxic positivity mom, but say something to like when you speak to yourself, maybe it can look a little bit more like I'm really grateful that I'm so strong and healthy.
Yeah.
And not but, and oh my God, am I a therapist?
No, I love it though. Yeah.
Like, and I will give myself, grace as I work on my appearance or for myself.
Right.
We're not going to be the people that say love yourself no matter what, because I think that's a little bit of toxic positivity.
Yeah, because
we're going to work with you on that. No one does.
No one does.
So we're going to work with you on that. And that's, I guess, just if I'm giving you that example, like, it's such a blessing to be healthy and strong.
Yes.
And then if you have other things you want to work on, fine.
Yeah.
You can hold both at the same time.
Thank you. Yes,
You're welcome.
Completely agree. And another little spoiler alert, we're kind of making this a bit of a series in that we're going to have this body image discussion today. And then we're going to bring on an amazing, unbelievable personal trainer and female gym owner, really fitness entrepreneur in Nashville in the episode after this.
Yep.
And she's going to talk about what Joelle just said of like, we've got to get past conventional metrics that we use to measure ourselves in society. And then we're going to bring on a personal stylist who is now so good at her trade and so good at making people feel good in their bodies, men and women, and so good at making people feel beautiful that she does this for very famous people in Nashville. So
and all body types.
And all body types.
Yep.
And so we hope that those episodes will be a helpful takeaway for you all beyond this too.
Yes, for sure. Okay, so that was very necessary. It was very necessary. This is a raw conversation. I'm going to give my answer of 1 to 5. And I feel like this is why so many people put 3 is because some days it's 1 and some days it's 5.
Yeah.
Or let's say some days it's 1 and some days it's 4 or whatever it is. It is different every day. And let me can I start with like the elephant in the room?
Yeah.
I feel like people tell me I'm small and I do not see myself as small.
Really?
Never have.
That's wild.
And like,
but I believe you because I believe you because.
But I don't. It's so weird. Like I was in New Orleans with. There's 4 women who I work with on my team, and there was at one point we're always talking about. And by the way, Annie and I love food. Like we are both foodies. We like live to eat. Like so, this is not going to be like a shying away from food conversation at all. Like to me, it's like the joy of life.
Anyone who tells you that you need to shy away from, that you need to deprive yourself
of any food,
foods a lot to get what you need. That's very short-sighted.
It's so not sustainable.
It's not sustainable.
I just feel like literally you're put on this earth to like eat all the things, go all the places, make friends, that's like part of the essence of life. I'm such a foodie. So, and I'm a very like, the love of my life is baking. Like it's one of my biggest passions in this world. And I bake a lot and I talk about my baking a lot. And it's like such a thing for me. And like I make challah on Shabbat and I make the best Rice Krispie treats you've ever had. I make cakes. I make the best cookies. Like I'm very, very arrogant.
And you eat it.
And I eat it. And I'm very arrogant about my baking. Like it's a thing.
Because she should be.
But anyway, I was on this trip with my work team in New Orleans and I was talking about baking and all this stuff. And all 3 of them were like, I don't believe you. You're so tiny. And I'm like it always, I'm not sharing that story for any other reason, just to be like, because I thought of this episode and I'm like, what? Like I don't see myself as tiny. I don't see myself as petite. Maybe like in the grand scheme of the world, or our country, which has this massive obesity problem, sure. But like in my own little scope in my brain, I would never consider myself petite.
And I think we saw from the respondents, there's lots of people that are numerically petite who also feel that.
Correct.
And the term like body dysmorphia is getting very popular, but I think that's such a good point because these are your good friends. These are wonderful women. You're not offended by what they're saying.
No, not at all. I love them. And I still couldn't believe I was like, really? You guys think I'm tiny?
But what we say to each other like that can completely change the course of a woman. I'm going to say of a woman's entire day. Like,
and you know what? This is the other thing, and this is the thing I'm probably not supposed to say. I fucking loved it.
Yeah,
I
felt
loved
great.
it. Are you kidding? Like, I love when people tell me I'm tiny.
Right. And like, but someone could give you, I call them complissalts, like a backhanded compliment where they said like, oh, like, I'm trying to think of a good example. Like, oh yeah, like I'm struggling, but they could say something to you that that turns you in the other, that puts you more towards a 1 for the day.
Oh yeah. So, okay. I have an example.
Yeah.
Oh my God. You're so photogenic.
Yes. Oh my God. Did you straighten your hair today? It looks so great. And then you're like, well, my hair is naturally curly. So it'll look like shit.
Yes.
All of those things, like it sucks, I guess, is what I want to say of like, I don't know the solution, but the things that we say to one another about each other's appearances and about these assumptions we have about like, there's no way Joelle Goldstein eats baked goods. It's like it's a web that is so hard to untangle. And like we internalize those comments so deeply.
And when we're talking about this, Annie, sorry to cut you off, all I can think about is when you just said, there's no way Joelle Goldstein eats baked goods because she like assuming because like you're so small. Yeah. All I can think about is all the people who could be listening to this that are half my size being like, she's not that small.
See, that's crazy because I'm thinking about all the people that are double your size thinking like, shut the fuck up.
Right. And both exist.
Right.
So, okay. Wow.
And so that's
I can't believe how fired up we are on this.
I know.
This is like...
Well, and that's like, I think about people I know in my life that are on a journey to gain weight or to bulk up. And if someone said like, there's no way you eat baked goods, that could ruin their day in a way you never even thought about because you thought telling someone they were tiny was a compliment. Right. And then they're like, man, like I've been fucking hitting the protein and the creatine and the gym. So it's just, I don't believe we should stop giving each other compliments.
Yes.
I don't believe that, but I don't know how to stop letting them take you from a 5 to a 1.
Yes. Okay. Basically, that was a very tangential version of us going 1 to 5. And the reason that I said it could be a 1, it could be a 4, it could be anywhere is like, and that's why probably most people chose 3 is because it depends on the day. That's so relatable. Like,
yeah.
Like if I'm like ladies with our time of the month, like literally it depends on your cycle. Yes. Like if I'm bloated, I feel like shit the whole day. If I am ovulating, I feel like $1,000,000.
Really?
Yes. If I'm in my luteal phase, I feel so fucking ugly. Like these are like normal, these are...
Well, and...
Because your cycle really dictates your...
Yes.
And this isn't mood, this is physiology. Like this is not...
Right.
So you actually, if you're really in tune with your body, like you feel everything, you know?
Yeah.
And you can... Like if you're breaking out because you're about to get your period...
I was
like,
just going to say that. Oh.
Yeah, like that sucks. Like it's a shitty time of the month.
Yes. And we heard from a lot of you... I guess I'm jumping ahead a little bit, but we heard from a lot of you say like you did mark the one about acne or scarring or things like that. And then a lot of you were like, why is this still happening in my 30s and 40s?
Yes.
Which one I just want to empathize with. Like I get awful like hormonal cystic acne all along here. And it's really difficult. And it's one of those things like acne or things like when you're pregnant or, you know, if you're like going through a divorce or something, there's certain things in life that people love to give you advice on.
Yes.
And like acne is one of those things. It's always like, have you ever tried blah, 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 blah? And I'm always like, yeah, I fucking tried that. Yes. Like I'm not just going around being like, I don't wash my face because I like looking like this.
Right.
You know, it's like, yes, I've tried the things.
Yes.
So it's, again, I guess I'm going back to that conundrum of like, people want to help, but at the same time, a comment of, well, are you eating fermented foods? Because it's probably coming from inside. Really throws me off. Like, I'm like, yeah,
even though it's very well-meaning advice.
Yes.
Of course, like because your gut health is directly directly correlated to other things. But it's
then I spiral.
But it's frustrating,
right? And then I spiral. I'm like, oh, do they think like because I look a certain way that I don't even know that I should eat fermented foods?
Oh
like,
God!
And how much fucking kimchi can you eat a day? You know, like how much
fermented foods are disgusting. Let's just say it.
Like I can't eat any more sauerkraut for my skin.
No. Sorry,
anyway.
I'm out on fermented foods.
She's out.
So that's kind of it. Like, depending on where you're at, your 1 to 5 could change. And that's maybe why we thought a lot of people said 3, including maybe myself. Has the way you felt, this is the next question, has your 1 to 5 answer caused you not to do something? So when you think about what that could be, well, let's first start by saying 65 of you said yes.
65%.
65%. That is what would qualify as maybe a moderate to vast majority.
A super majority, right? Isn't it? Yeah.
Well, I would say like, oh, really?
I mean, in politics, that'd be a super majority.
All right, super majority.
Yeah.
65% say yes, they've literally not done something because of the way they feel in their own skin. So the top 3, we had a write-in answer to explain. Yeah. The top 3 were something involving, you guessed it, a swimsuit, a pool, a beach, a boat day. Okay? Not surprising at all.
Swimsuit. Someone needs to be doing very intense, like anthropological research on why women feel the way they feel in swimsuits.
I can tell you. I can tell you right now.
Great.
They are designed for children, or unless your boobs are up to your eyeballs.
Right. So
They have even the most supportive bathing suit.
Yeah.
Isn't flattering.
Yeah.
Or if you have zero boobs.
Right.
The way that the bottoms usually fit are so much less flattering than your underwear, because they're like seamed and tight. And I think maybe it has to do with the fabric having to be like like I don't know what it is. And I do have some bathing suits I love, like, you know, the somersaults and all that stuff, whatever.
Yeah.
Still, there's something about swimsuits that are just so egregious.
Yes.
And don't feel good and make people their absolute worst self in terms of confidence. The other thing is that a lot of bathing suits are skimpier than your underwear, than your bra and underwear.
Right.
How is it? Do people talk about that? That you're literally with, like, let's say you're with like your kids' friends and their parents. It's like you're just all standing there in less than your underwear. Like, it's crazy.
You're right. It's an insane phenomenon.
It's an insane phenomenon.
Yeah. But like there are other cultures and societies
They're all naked.
that don't give a shit.
They don't give a shit.
And here in America, like that is a part of the public health crisis, that we're all at the pool just like, ew, ew. And then if you get a bathing suit, I don't know I'm sure some of our imposters will feel this way. Like if you get a bathing suit that you like on you, then I sit there and I'm like, well, is this frumpy now? Or like now, do I look like this? Is this a bathing suit for a 50-year-old? You know, like I just get
100%.
Oh, it's the worst.
I feel like the most universally flattering swimsuit I've ever seen is the side stroke from Somersault.
Yeah.
You know what
Go
I'm
buy
talking
yourself
about.
a side stroke.
Like
Yeah.
I've seen it on every single body type. It looks great. It's one shoulder, so it's like a little less frumpy.
Yeah.
And it's like, really nice and comfortable. I have a few of them.
One of the best advertising jobs ever too, that summer that they went hard with that.
Oh my gosh.
Like they nailed it.
They nailed it. That was like 5 years
and
ago.
by advertising,
maybe.
I mean just spending millions of dollars on Instagram ads.
Yes.
But like they nailed it.
They nailed it. So that's like one example. I know there's some good swimsuit options out there, but I will say, as a straight-sized, fairly petite woman, if I'm going to call myself that, I struggle so much with swimsuits.
Yeah.
This is a problem across the board.
We had a podcast guest who ended the episode by saying, we were talking about imposter-ness. I'm going to throw us under the bus a little bit here.
Please.
And she said something to the effect of like, when you're feeling bad about yourself, like think about, last summer at the pool, did you ever like think about anyone's body in a swimsuit? And after Joelle and I, we don't ever lie to you guys, but in the episode, we both were like, yeah, no. And then after the episode, we were both like, yes, all the time.
I still think about people.
But not in a mean way, in a
No.
body envy way. Like,
Yes.
I think about people that I see in a swimsuit that I'm like, they look amazing.
Yes.
How? Like, we have the same amount of children, like.
Yes.
So, yes, I do think about it. It's usually in an extremely positive way. I never am like, I can't believe that person wore that outfit or that swimsuit.
No, it's never like that person was too big to be in that swimsuit. It's always like, it's always like in a complimentary way.
But like, so if you're sitting here listening to this thinking like, well, I do think about what people look like in a swimsuit, let's also just get that out in the open that like, yeah, we are all thinking about that when we leave a pool. We're all like, wow, they looked great.
Like that,
I didn't look great.
How does that woman with 4 kids have a 6-pack?
Yeah.
Like, how is that possible?
Yeah.
But then I want this to be the takeaway.
Okay.
No one is looking at people who don't look good and remembering that.
Yes.
Not that, right. So it's only an admiration, if anything.
It's like an
admiration
envy.
and envy.
Yes.
But not like, look at that slob. It's
Yes.
never look at that slob.
And there is a high likelihood that you have been the person looked at with envy at some point. I want everybody to remember that too.
True.
And that might be like, wow, look at her fucking rack. Or wow,
Yeah.
look at how she has 0 cellulite on her legs or whatever it might be. Like someone has looked at you with envy, but no one has, unless they're like a huge asshole that you don't want in your life anyway, has ever looked at you and been like, I can't believe she's wearing that bathing suit.
Yeah. No.
But think about how in our heads we all are about ever having to do swimming events.
But it's true. And we don't really have, if it's something that you really want to attend and you have some body like modesty concerns, maybe the advice here is like go buy a gorgeous cover up that you feel so good in.
Yeah.
And like just like splurge on it, give yourself a gift.
Yeah.
And like I'm not saying you should cover up your body, but if you just want to preserve your like ability
sanity.
to like kind of your sanity, maybe treat yourself to like a really pretty cover up and don't miss out on the fun.
Yeah. Because I know there's a big movement of like moms taking pictures with their kids in bathing suits, and I'm all about that and I love it, but I'm such a mess. Like I barely do that.
Yeah.
So I know there are some of you that are like, yeah, I support that movement, but I don't want to be doing that. So then do it. Then be comfortable. Then be comfortable.
Go find yourself a beautiful cover up that you feel like really like kind of glamorous and fun in, and wear it every time you have an event that involves a pool.
Work smarter, not harder.
Yes. Okay. The next most popular answer was dressing up for a social event. So I feel like this to me has two different connotations. The first is feeling a certain way in your body. Mm-hmm. To me, the more, which I almost don't think we need to focus on. We just talked about that. The other is feeling good about your style, your personal sense of style, and the way you look in clothing, which feels like it's interesting because like bathing suits are more from a I'm too naked perspective.
Right.
Clothing is more from like I don't know how to dress myself right now.
That's the really impostery one.
For like, sure.
You feel
and
like
I'm so excited we're having Tiffany come on.
Yes.
Because we're going to have a whole episode about this.
Yes.
So yeah, we'll do what we can now, but just know we're going to talk about this more in depth.
Right. But for me, when I answered this question, this is what I thought of this was a big example for me of like, even just moving from the Pacific Northwest where like wearing socks and sandals was appropriate before it became cool again. Like wearing your Keens to the nicest restaurant that happened a lot. Moving to the South where everybody is much more done up and dressed up and, looks a certain way. I had so much imposter syndrome at everything that we went to.
Interesting.
I still have it when like my style, I couldn't answer the question what my personal style is, but like it's probably, no, I take it back. I've had older women tell me multiple times that my style is sporty.
Sporty spice.
Sporty. Like including one of our old nannies who was like, yeah, I told this other family to come meet you guys. I kind of gave her a heads up. She doesn't need to dress nice. You're very sporty. Then I was like, okay.
Great.
But again, so I thought about that. I probably went from a 5 to a 1 that day.
Right.
But so I guess, I have a sporty spice style. And so I have imposter syndrome going to events at my daughter's school all the time because I call it a private public school. Because these women look amazing all the time. They throw these outfits together that I'm like, how the fuck?
Yeah.
And so every time I get dressed up to go to something there, I'm like, oh, like, how do I be not sporty right now? What do I do? So anyway, I guess I just wanted to make you all feel really seen that like dressing up for certain social events is so stressful.
So stressful. And I think we're going to talk about that at the end too, right?
Yeah.
So should we maybe we'll just continue to get through this?
Yeah.
And we'll give that advice at the end. So that was the second most popular answer. The other one, which I was shocked because most people I think that answered are married, but a lot of people answered that they wouldn't go on certain dates.
Yeah.
When they were single.
Yeah.
Which I guess I can I can relate to. Like I never dated, so I don't really know. I really don't know how I would have been in dating. I've been with my husband for over 14 years, so like he was kind of like I was 21, so I didn't have like real dating.
Yeah,
to ever get in my head like that. But people would not go on certain dates or approach certain people on a dating app because they didn't feel. So that's what this is speaking to.
Well, and I think that plays. I feel really strongly about this, even though I also haven't been dating. Like, I think this is part of the public health crisis. I think the dating apps have created this from seeing firsthand with my friends that are dating and are trying the apps or trying to meet people in real life. Like, the dating apps have created this environment where we are enabled to judge people on how they look. That's what you're doing. You're just making an impression with a handful of pictures, and that's what that person has to decide if they want to go on a date with you.
Right.
Sure, you're answering the cute, kitschy questions and shit, but we all know that like when you have that many options and you're overwhelmed with inputs on these dating apps, like people are just doing it judged on looks. And so you have this whole generation who's coming up and having to date in this world where they feel so rejected. And the first thing that they attribute it to is their physical appearance.
Right.
It makes me so sad. Like I don't think I'm going to say her name. Maybe it'll come out. But a person that is so important to me in my life is one of the most beautiful women I've ever seen.
Same. I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, in my life. Like one time we called her the epitome of sexy.
Yes.
Like we were like, like sometimes. Anyway, she herself gets in these ruts because she's on the dating apps and, she'll get ghosted or someone, they just reject you to your face.
I know.
It's awful.
Yeah. I mean, I see both sides of the dating app. I agree with you. I see both sides of the dating app. It's like, I'm glad I will say I'm glad I never had to be on one.
Oh, yeah. You know that meme that's like, do married people feel like they got the last chopper out of Nam? Absolutely.
The last chopper out of Nam.
Absolutely.
That is so funny.
I would never have survived, like, because I have such poor confidence.
I hate being like the two married greater than thou people talking down about the dating app. So I just don't want to be that person because we don't know what we would do. I'm such an energy person. I don't think I would be able to find someone that way because I need to, like, I could meet someone who I wasn't attracted to on a dating app and love their energy in real life. Like that,
right.
That wouldn't be my medium, I don't think.
Yeah.
But I've also been off the market since I was 21 years old. So I feel like it's kind of,
right.
It's a little righteous of me to say that.
Right.
But I do think,
but I just want to extend like empathy to everybody that's dating. Like,
yes, who's dating because it's a different thing now.
It's so different.
And also I will give a lot of people find their person on a dating app, and it's just harder.
I did, yeah,
and it's right.
Yeah, I did.
And it's hard to get there.
Right. Like I did, but it was OkCupid, and I think that's like illegal now. I don't know, but no, I did. So I get it. I get the online dating, but like it makes me. I think it's part of the public health crisis that like we are having to put ourselves out there physically to be rejected and swiped.
Yeah,
that sucks.
I could see that.
It sucks. I really feel for everybody that's trying to find someone out there.
If you're interested, I think most of our listeners are married, but if you want more on dating apps, we'll get someone on as a guest because we don't have enough, I don't think, to dive and like understand the psychology and everything. We could get someone on.
Yes.
So let us know. And then an honorable mention was some people have not gone to certain events or, kind of stayed home because of their acne. Mm-hmm. And that is it's just so understandable and upsetting. And it's like, as a makeup artist, I feel for that. And I do know there are ways to mask certain things, but there's something about really cystic, like aggressive acne breakouts that are so depressing and debilitating to, putting yourself out there. And I just want to let anyone know who's been through that I really feel for you.
Yes. And I go through it all the time, once a month. And Joelle's makeup tricks have really helped me. So I do want to tell you guys that makeup does help to make you feel better. But I think about how this didn't surprise me because our generation is the generation that literally took a drug called Accutane that like you had to get blood work once a month. You had to get your liver enzymes checked. If you got pregnant, your baby would have like 6 heads, literally. Yeah. Like to think about the risk that our parents.
That medication is wild, but it's really works.
We took that because acne is one of the hardest things to deal with.
It is.
And it makes you feel like shit. And so I just want to.
And this is our nod to the non-body.
Yeah.
This is our nod to the non-body stuff. Acne has its own special place in like your own health. This is a good segue to our next question was, what do your physical insecurities apply to? We gave the options of your body. So like Annie was saying before, like your belly, your thighs, your arms, like an actual like your physical body or features on your body. Another was your face, so like your nose. I would even say maybe your hair, maybe, I don't know. Are people insecure about their eyes? Like, I don't know. Just things like that are on your face. And then separately we had acne and scarring because we feel like those are two different things. Like the shape or size of your nose is one thing. And then the
Skin
The
condition.
skin condition
Yeah.
is another. So those were two different. Then we also went to numerical weight. So the actual number on the scale, because you think it's 2 and we say quote unquote fat. We also said numerical weight being quote unquote too skinny. 80%, which would be the sweeping majority, were about your body.
Yeah.
So most people, and we also let you have a multiple selection. So most 80% of people said their body. The next most popular answer was numerical weight being too fat. And the third place was evenly split between facial features and acne or scarring. So those were the main ones that came up. And I think that's just like, none of that is surprising. It's just interesting to share. I would say for myself, you know, if we're going along with the survey, I would say I'd be all in on body. And I don't really look at the scale. So I wouldn't say it's like the number. I'm not really hung up on the number because I try to keep the number away from me.
Okay, got it.
But it would be more like body stuff, like all neck down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Body stuff. She loves that. She loves that mug.
It's all neck down. Yeah.
The only thing I want to add here is we had a couple people write in and say like, hey guys, don't say the words skinny and fat. Like they were a little offended that we used those words in the survey.
We're not sorry.
Because you use those words about yourself in your inner dialogue.
Yeah.
And so like why maybe something we're doing a disservice to ourselves about is now pretending like those words don't exist and pervade. Because they do.
I also feel like speaking words clinically takes the emotion out of them too.
Oh my God, yes.
So like this is in the same way.
Overweight is like, okay, cool, this is a problem I can solve. Fat is like emotionally you feel like shit.
Right, but it's what it is.
Yeah.
It's a word that
Right.
it's a real word. And
yes, it's a real word.
It's a real word. It's also, but it's weird. It's like a word, but it's also like a slur.
Yeah.
You know, but it's a medical word and a slur.
Right.
So, yeah, like I just would say like we're using the term in the way you talk to yourself.
Yes.
And I do think it's one of those examples of the world's gotten a little too soft and sensitive in a lot of ways. Like I don't think we should cancel the word fat. I think we just need to reframe it and deal with it. And
I think we have to deal with it. I think we have to deal with that's the way women and men are still describing themselves. So we can't just get rid of the word until we aren't using it anymore internally.
Yes. And of course, as a parent, let's also say,
yes,
we're never teaching our kids to use that about themselves or other people, specifically other people.
Yeah.
But I'm sorry that I have to say that. I hope that goes without saying. But we're just kind of trying to keep it real here. And fat and skinny are words we use about ourselves. So we're using them here on this episode. The question after that was, how often do you think about it? So how often do you think about that thing that keeps you in your house? Mm-hmm. Your body, your acne, your whatever it is, all the things. Mm-hmm. The most popular answer was a few moments here or there. That was like about 50% of you said a few moments here or there. So which equates to me as every day. Mm-hmm. So it's every day. And then, you know, the second most, I guess, were it consumes me, which is sad to me because that was second place. Like we're living in that. So it's somewhere between a little bit throughout the day and all day, every day.
Yeah. Yeah. So to my fellow, it consumes me. I hope that this episode helps it get better.
Yes, I agree.
And then we asked, has the way you feel about your physical appearance ever made you feel like you don't belong in certain places or settings? Yes.
So this one, okay, so everyone answered 50-50 on this one. Mm-hmm. And I think it's interesting because I wonder if people just weren't able to think back to certain examples. So I would say, has the way I feel about my body ever made me feel like I don't belong in certain settings? I would say yes.
Yeah.
For me.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll go first on it. Like, I think about places like, and I don't even know if these are places I want to be, but let's say let's go back to when I was in my 20s. Okay. I actually do think I'm in maybe better shape now than I was then, just for whatever that's worth. Okay. But I don't know if that matters. When I think about I spent my early 20s in New York City. When I think about like Vegas clubs, meatpacking district clubs, New York City, music festivals, Coachella, like I think about all these places where the skinny hot people are. I would never even think to go to these places.
Yeah.
Because of the way they dress, the way their little tiny bodies fit into these little tiny outfits. Like, I never felt comfortable in places like that. So I would never even entertain going. You know what I mean? So like, maybe the question would resonate differently if someone thought about it in those terms. I hope it doesn't.
Yeah.
I hope it's like a lot of people feel comfortable in every setting. But I don't care now because I'm like, I don't want to be in those places. But I would totally feel out of place, you know, in places like this.
Yeah. For me, it was like, when we moved here and I was starting to contemplate my big pivot and stuff, I remember thinking like, maybe I'll get into the music industry. Sorry, not to sing, not to be a performer, but to be like an agent or to do, sales. Songwriting sales was always something that fascinated me. And I would talk myself out of it all the time because I didn't feel like I belonged in that scene because of the way I looked or the way I dressed. So that's happened a few times where like I've missed out, or even me wanting to pursue my comedy career. What holds me back the most, that I don't think I've ever said out loud until this very moment right here, is that I fear being on stage in front of people. I don't fear it. I fear the way I look on stage. I fear what people will say.
Yeah.
So it's pretty pervasive for me. The other thing is like, I think there's this two-way thing with being men, I think, treat women very differently based on how they look. And so there are probably women who are saying, yeah, I think twice about going into certain settings with men because they will treat me inappropriately because I am really attractive and beautiful. Or there's the other side, which sometimes I'm sure some of you have felt, where it's like I hesitate to go into male-dominated spaces because they'll treat me in a negative way because I don't fit their conventional style of beauty, and so they'll ignore me, or I'll feel unseen in a space with a bunch of men, and that sucks. That's a shitty feeling. So the people that are conventionally beautiful have to think twice about the rooms that they're in because they want to avoid, feeling inappropriate or like they're being looked at a certain way. And then the people that don't feel like they're conventionally attractive have to think about interactions that are male dominated because it's really painful to feel like you're not seen or you're treated differently than other women based on the way you look.
Right.
And I think about that all the time. I think about it in college. Like, I don't know. Do you ever remember like going to parties and there were just certain guys that just would only talk to certain types of women?
Totally.
And you were just like, and eventually I got to the point where I was like, well, I'm not interested in talking to men. Like, I don't like men like that. But that took a long time.
Absolutely.
And it sucks. It's a shitty feeling.
Totally.
So yeah, I think there's a lot of, and I already said, but like moving to the South, I get so much imposter syndrome about what I'm wearing and the rooms I'm in because it feels so different than the crunch of the Pacific Northwest.
Right.
Yeah.
Still?
No, it's getting better.
Yeah.
I've embraced more of my sporty spice style now.
Yeah. I think that's,
yeah.
I feel the same way. I kind of like being a little edgier.
Yeah.
In settings where less people are.
And we've found a group of friends that we all are a little edgy in our own way finally.
Yes.
But for a while I would be like, I don't own like a prairie dress. All right. So this is the question that I feel the next two are the big ones.
Yes.
Even
the
though
next
we've
two are the big ones.
spent an undue amount of time on the first ones because clearly this is just such a hot topic for us. But what's to blame? The most popular answer was my own insecurities or my own imposter syndrome. But I'm calling bullshit on y'all because I think you answered that because you don't want to feel like, oh, I'm skirting the blame on this, so I'm just going to blame social media.
Yeah.
Because that probably doesn't feel authentic to you. So I think it's both. I think it's social media and I'm going to keep saying it, the public health crisis we're living in.
Yep.
And then yes, it is a inside job. Like
it's
Joelle
an inside
said.
job. I think,
but it's both.
So I would say the people who said your own insecurities and your own imposter syndrome is true. Maybe it was a trick question then, because now that I'm really analyzing this question, it's like that because of social media, because of society standards. Like no, this is a manufactured feeling.
Yes.
It's a feeling that you shouldn't be having, and you probably wouldn't be having if it weren't for these other things.
And it's systemic. It's
very
beyond
systemic.
us. It's very beyond us.
It is beyond us. And I will say, we're going to dive into all those in our next segment, which is where we're going to spend some time. But the last one was either we put mom/parents. Mm-hmm. And I want to give this disclaimer that our parents, if you're listening to this in your 30s, your parents are probably baby boomers. It's not their fault. They grew up, or they were in their 30s in the heat of non-fat diets, Weight Watchers, Slim Fast.
Kate Moss,
like you name it, it's not their fault. They were a product of their own surroundings, and it has completely, in a lot of ways, really affected our generation. But that our parents are not, you can't blame your parents because they were just a part of the machine.
The prophet Noah Khan once said, "I'm still mad at my parents for what their parents did to them." And I think we can bring that in here. It's not their fault.
It's just the world that they lived in. Diet culture was blooming.
And let's talk about the systemic piece too. Like, I could just talk for like 16 hours about all this, but like our parents came up in the generation where all of a sudden like processed, quickly accessible foods and stuff were coming onto the market. And so like that changed the course of American health.
Yeah.
And so our parents were also responsible for trying to maintain their weight and look a certain way while, the way that the food system in America worked changed completely.
Right.
So that must have sucked for them. I have empathy.
Yeah.
And for the previous generation, our parents, like they looked a certain way because they had to fit into like really uncomfortable dresses and stuff all the time.
Right.
Like it's just society has changed, so I don't blame them.
No. But it's a valid reason.
And
if you grew up watching your mom dieting and obsessing, or your dad, whatever.
Yeah.
And that was just all they knew because that's what it was.
And they're the generation that didn't eat. They're the generation that was skinny by just not eating.
Right.
Because I think that's what you had to do back then before we had all this knowledge and understanding of the food system and what's happening health-wise. But yeah, we just want to say we feel for you if you answered mom/parents because it's
a real answer.
It's a very real answer.
And also it's not their fault.
It's not their fault. You should absolutely have a conversation with them about it. And you should do what a lot of you asked us to do, which was talk about how to be a cycle breaker with your own kids.
Correct.
And we can all do that. And I think we're all doing a good job of keeping our internal monologue of fat and skinny and all of that internal and not saying those things in front of our daughters and prioritizing the right pieces of health.
Correct.
And nourishing our bodies with food instead of being like, well, today I had a handful of M&Ms and so I can't eat again until 6.
Right.
Like, oh my God.
My God. So that's the perfect segue because the next question was, how can we help?
Yeah.
And one of the the first thing I'm going to say is we're going to go with the most popular answers. Mm-hmm. The most popular write-in answers are where we're going to focus our conversation now and our time. The first one, which let's just put out there, is people just wanted us to be honest and have this conversation and be heard and know they're not alone. That was huge.
Yeah.
And here we are having the conversation. I really hope we're doing it justice for you. And we can't wait to hear your feedback on this episode. So we feel...
I've been more honest than I thought I probably would because this is such a painful topic.
Yeah.
Can I share another personal story?
Please.
Are you sure? Are you freaking... Okay. I am so like broken with how I feel about myself and look and all that, everything that we're discussing here today. One of the best moments that I've had recently was when I went out with a friend and I got hit on for the first time in probably like, I don't know, a really long time. I got hit on and I was like,
for you.
I had imposter syndrome about being hit on in the moment in which I was being hit on. I didn't believe that they were actually hitting on me. There was drinking involved, but I was also like, are you hitting on me? And then this poor guy, I think he was like 27, was like, I'm like trying to talk to you. And I was like, oh my God. And I just had this like my internal, I was like, that's so nice. Wow. And he was like so freaked out. And then I was like, thank you so much. And he was like, okay.
You're like, I want you to know how much this means to me.
I did. So then I was like, anyway, I have 3 kids and I'm married, and I just can't tell you how much this meant to me.
That's amazing.
Like, I talked to him like he had just like introduced me to Jesus. Like, I was like,
I want you to know that made my day. He's like, can you leave me alone, lady?
He was so freaked out.
Oh my God, that is hysterical.
Yeah, but like, that's how broken I am and how honest I want to be with all of you of like, I feel you. I felt your answers to my core.
Oh,
yeah.
That's hilarious. I loved that.
He was so freaked out.
Oh my God, poor kid.
Yeah.
I mean, not only were you hit on by someone who's 27.
And I had a wedding ring on, so
wow, so he didn't give a fuck.
I was riding a high for like at least 48 hours.
I love that. Let's go back to children.
Okay.
Speaking of having children. So between Annie and I, we have 4 daughters between the ages of 4 and 7. Okay.
Yeah.
It's a lot of impressionable little girls between us. Mm-hmm. And it's on our minds all the time. I want you to know that. And it sounds like it's on all of your minds all the time too. I know it's, of course, if you have boys as well, this is important. And it's very important, for their own bodies and also how they treat women and all that. Obviously, the conversation's, I think, a little more focused about mothers and daughters, just naturally. Yeah. So I think the way that we cycle break, we'll just kind of spitball here, is this is how I try to do it. When they first is taking any demonization out of food.
Yes.
So instead of eat the broccoli because it's healthy or don't eat the candy because it's crap, I've tried to focus it more on, and this is so elementary. Like, guys, we're not nutritional coaches. We're not child experts, but this is just kind of the way I've made subtle tweaks is like, we're eating our veggies and our protein because they make us strong and give us energy.
Yes.
Like, it's like strong and energy, right? Like, use the words that are like positive and empowering. And we're not eating like candy for breakfast because sometimes sugar makes us a little crazy or
and
a little
I say,
wild.
like, sometimes sugar can make our tummy ache.
Yeah.
Things like that. Like,
but not fat and skinny.
No, it's just honesty.
It's just honesty.
Like,
I don't think we should also give our kids the reins to eat whatever they want. Like, I think that's also a little too crazy. But
yeah, no.
Like, I wouldn't, because my kids would literally be eating just literally candy for 3 meals a day.
Yeah.
So I think there's a happy medium of taking, just use different words. Like, of course we want nutrition to be important. It's vital to their growth. It's vital to their health. But words like strong and energy and growing and, good for your brain, like things like that, I think are just so much better than relating it to fat and body. And yeah. So that's my kind of like just ABCs of breaking cycle
with food.
Yeah.
And one of the best pieces of advice I ever got too, because I feel like having 3 kids, I feel like I accidentally did an experiment on sugar because our first daughter, our oldest daughter, we never gave her sugar until she was like 2. And now she's absolutely obsessed with sugar.
Yeah.
Obsessed.
I'm not. Yeah. My kids eat a dessert every day. Like, I don't.
Yes.
Yeah.
My middle daughter, like, we just kind of were like, man, I don't know. We just didn't talk about it. It was available to her. She ate it when she wanted. She didn't. She had it when she was a baby. She had it. She could care less. She eats a dessert if she wants a dessert. Yep. She stops eating a dessert if she doesn't want a dessert. My youngest son has been nothing but bribed and like given platitudes of sugar and processed food.
How do you think I got him to like me?
Right. Just to get through life.
Like, and JoJo's cookies.
Yes. We're literally always just like, Calvin, take a cookie so that we can all have a conversation right now.
Yeah.
Like, which I'm not proud of this, but like, and he is like, has crazy sugar, like the most sugary mood swing things I've ever seen. So
all 3 of them, that is a sugar
it's
experiment.
It's an experiment, I think. Anyway, so I would say like, just try to destigmatize it, try to make it normal. One really good piece of advice I had is like, if you have a kid like my oldest who's obsessed with sugar, put dessert on the dinner plate with the rest of the food.
Ooh,
and
yeah,
let them, if they eat the dessert first, fine. Let them eat the dessert first a few times because then they're probably going to still sit there and finish the rest of their dinner.
Yeah.
But if they're so obsessed, just give it to them on their plate of food.
And you know what makes you obsessed? Taking it away.
Yes, deprivation.
Deprivation makes you obsessed. Think about all of our, like, the cycle of dieting and binging and purging and like, real serious eating disorders. Like,
yeah,
it's because you've deprived there's some cycle of deprivation and indulgence.
Yes.
So I think that is just a very good tip across the board is like, don't praise this food and don't demonize it.
Yes.
Just keep it neutral.
Keep it neutral. And then in terms of like, you know, again, I think this is hopefully you all are doing this. If you're not, stop right now and start doing it. But like, yes, do not use words like fat, skinny. Don't self-deprecate in front of your kids. Don't, you know, I'll even catch myself sometimes as much of a mess as I am. I do try really hard not to do this in front of my kids, but I'll even catch myself just saying to my husband, like, do I look okay? Are you sure? Blah, 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 and spiraling. And then I try to really stop doing that in front of them. I don't successfully do that all the time, but when they see you thinking about how you look all the time, they think, oh, I should be thinking about how I look all the time.
Yeah. Their kids are listening and they're watching.
And you know, you all know too that kids are going to learn by example more than they're going to learn by being told to do something. So like, you just have to think about how are you going out into the world? And are you saying, you know, like, I don't want to wear that because I can't wear that. Like my kids will try to pick out my outfits for me sometimes. And like, as you would imagine, every single time it's the most ridiculous pink frilly dress that they want me to put on. And so instead of being like, mommy, no, I'm, you know, like putting shame around it or like self-deprecating, I'll just be like, you know what? It's going to be cold out and that's probably not going to keep me very warm. Like I just try to focus on like facts and data and have real conversations with them about it.
Right.
Or like, you know what? Nobody else is going to be wearing a dress. So I think the dress code is more like pants and a shirt. So let's pick out a pants and a shirt.
Yeah. Just not putting emotion around it.
Yeah. Try really hard.
Yeah.
It's so hard though.
It really is. But just watch your self-talk in front of your kids.
Yeah.
When you praise them, praise their entire being.
Yes.
Strong, smart, brave, or I don't know, is brave a little, whatever. Just like, don't always.
Brave out?
I don't know. Oh. Whatever. I don't know. But like, I feel like praise the whole child.
Yeah.
Don't praise just the looks and don't praise not the looks.
Yes.
Because if I want anything, I want my kids to feel, my kids are so confident.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
And I just want them to stay that way forever. So that's, whatever I can do to continue that for them, I'll do.
Yeah. And let them like dance. Let them move their bodies in a way too that, not dance, like put them in a dance class, but like let them dance and be silly and be like doing those things and just make it normal, I think.
Yeah.
So that they don't have shame around like being present and like taking up a room.
I love that.
I try really hard because you know my kids. It's like my oldest daughter will just be like twirling or she'll be doing like a mirror check sometimes. And my first instinct is like, oh my God, like, what is she doing? She's like checking herself out. And then I'm like, wait, that's fine. Who cares?
Yeah.
Let them,
Totally. Okay, so let's move on to the next one. So this one is like, I have like a visceral reaction to this. And a lot of people brought it up.
Okay.
The topic of, and we're lumping a couple things together. Aging in relation to social media and filters.
Blech. Blech. Blech.
Annie and I, let's put it out there. Annie and I think social media filters that are like face altering. Not like color altering, like if you're trying to like, I don't know, color correct the like background of your photo,
if you
whatever.
want to be sepia toned, go at it.
Go sepia tone your entire life, whatever. There is a trend, and it's not new, of people taking their filtered photo from either Instagram, Snapchat, whatever, that like makes their nose slim, their lips big, their cheeks higher, and taking it to plastic surgeons or med spas and saying, I want to look like this. That's not okay.
It's not okay.
It's not okay.
Pervasive.
It's so bad. And it's giving face dysmorphia. It's like giving people this impression that that's how we should all look. And it's so damaging.
It's so damaging. And it is everywhere. And like I feel like we've been privy to the fact that like models and magazine covers and stuff were altered and photoshopped, but this is a whole nother level.
No, this is a whole nother level. That is nothing compared to this, because we're not talking about people in magazines on the cover. We're talking about people in everyday life. And I go nuts on people. And people I know, people I'm friends with, I'm like, stop using goddamn filters.
People use filters on their babies.
Oh, well,
like, But no, that's how intense it is.
Yes, and like people who are gorgeous, like, or like
yes.
And it's like, stop using these filters. They are there's nothing good about them.
Yes.
I actually made a TikTok maybe like 6 months ago, and I was going off on this filter. It's actually the filter that I love Alex Earl. I actually think she's adorable. She's like a big top, you know who she is, right?
Yeah.
But she uses, and she says it. She's like, this is the filter I use, like to put my makeup on. And it's so normal for Gen Z to like always have a smoothing filter when you're doing makeup, which is so fucked up because it's like, that's not what the makeup looks like on your skin. But she uses this one called like green eyes filter, and everyone uses it.
Yeah.
I put it on myself and I could not believe how it made me look.
I remember this.
So I made a rant TikTok being like, stop using this filter. Like, this is not how you look. And I got so much hate on that video. People are like, it's not that deep. Relax. Like, it's not our job to raise your kids.
It is deep. It's a really big
deep.
deal.
I agree.
It's a really big deal at this point. Like, we are consuming more pictures and videos and content of other normal people or people that are supposed to be just normal that are not, like, what they are putting out in the world is not at all normal.
I agree. And it's fucking with everyone else.
It is. It really is.
So we're highly against it. So I guess we'll stop our rant right there and get back to being productive. But we're probably still going to rant. But when it comes to aging and filters and social media, like we could do a whole episode on this when it comes to how it impacts you and your imposter syndrome.
Yes.
You know?
Yes.
I actually have a cheat sheet here on my notes app because I didn't want to forget anything when it comes to just, I guess, some advice I can give. When it's around this is advice I need to give and I need to take. I want everyone after this episode to go on an unfollow spree on their phone. Yeah. Anyone on Instagram who, I don't care if you love their outfits, you love their style, you love their hair, you love their kids, you love their content. If their body or face or filtered appearance makes you feel bad about yourself, unfollow them. You don't need them. There's someone else. They're a dime a dozen. You can find someone else who doesn't trigger you or and it's subconscious. Like, let me give an example.
Yeah.
Rachel Parcell is like, I think is one of the most beautiful women alive. I look at her body and I'm like I've had it like on a vision board before. Mm-hmm. I'm like, it is so perfection to me. Yeah. I still follow her, but maybe I shouldn't.
Yeah.
You know, like maybe I shouldn't because I love her. I love her style. I actually think she's a really good influencer, but I do think it seeps into my obsession with my body that like I don't look like her.
Yeah.
Or that's just an example, but
no,
but I don't think it's healthy at the end of the day that I follow someone like her.
I don't think so. And I think I always think of it this way, like after I got married, when I first got on like Instagram back in the day when it first came out, it was right around the time I was getting married. And so I followed a lot of like, or even Pinterest, like I followed and pinned wedding stuff, wedding inspo. And then once I got married, I noticed that I would see all this wedding stuff and I would feel this regret of like, oh, I should have done that. And then I just went through and I unfollowed all the wedding accounts.
Such a good example.
Or like when we moved to Nashville, we ended up remodeling some of our house. And so a lot of my Pinterest and my Instagram and all these different social media was around remodeling and what I wanted. Same thing happened. After we finished it, I had all this remorse of like, oh, why didn't I do that? Why didn't I think of that? So I went and unfollowed all the home accounts. Now I can like slowly bring them back because they don't impact me as much. I'm like, cool, that's another dream.
That's such good advice.
And so I've had to do the same thing with a lot of influencers. Like I used to, this is kind of, it's body image, it's also fashion. I used to really be hard on myself about my style because we've talked a lot about how I'm sporty spice, but I have a more like maximalist style. I like color, I like prints, I like that stuff. They bring me joy. But I was following all of these influencers who had like capsule wardrobes and they wore like a black t-shirt and a pair of jeans and they looked stunning. And then I realized like, oh, they're also like unbelievably conventionally gorgeous. Like they're also like, you know, a size 2 and they are 27 and their face looks perfect and whatever. And so like it wasn't relatable anymore. It was like, one, that's not my style. I'm not a capsule wardrobe girly. I'm sorry, Earth. I'm so sorry. And also like I don't look like her. And so it wasn't helping. And so then I went and found, and I think that's where you're going. I went and found influencers that look like me and dress like me.
So that would be my next advice. So I actually I have two pieces of advice that I want to give regarding social media, 2 specific follows that are kind of along the same line. Number one, actually, let me back up 1 second. Do what Annie did. follow people if you like their style and find someone whose body resembles yours because it's so refreshing. Do you ever like look at someone's outfit and they're shaped like a hanger? Like Ariel Charnas, good example. I followed her forever. So like I can actually separate from her because she is unrealistically thin. Like I love her little girls. Like I do like following her and I can separate from her because I know that I will never look like her. But clothing on her, she's built like a hanger.
Yeah.
She's so skinny
Yeah.
and beautiful and long, and her arms are long. Everything just looks like it does on the hanger on her. I don't have that. Most of us do not have that.
Yes.
So I can get some inspo from her, but I know it won't look the same on me. I like following women who are my size with my kind of curves and specific proportions, because then I can actually like quote unquote model what the outfit looks like on me. So just so you know, there are influencers and creators who of all body types.
Yes.
Of all different styles. Just find them.
Find them
and follow them. And those are the women you want to follow.
Yeah. There's a mid-size one I love that I've been following, Shelby Say What, I think it is. And she does, and I love it too because it's mid-size fashion, but also it's many different price points too.
Love that.
That's a good point too.
Yeah.
Like sometimes you're following people that you don't even realize like everything they're wearing. The black t-shirt that I'm talking about is an $89 black t-shirt.
Right.
And that's not in, that's not going to happen for you. Yeah. Think about that too. Find somebody who's got like a price point and brands that you like that you're going to shop.
Yes.
I feel so strongly about this.
Me too. By the way, just on that.
Yeah.
Uniqlo.
Oh, you and Jade love Uniqlo.
Best t-shirts on the market, $14.
Okay.
I've had some of mine for 2 years.
Wow.
$14.
I actually bought my husband a couple of their t-shirts that have lasted forever.
They're the best.
And he's a sweater.
I'll put on like a $50 t-shirt and a $14 t-shirt and I can't tell the difference when it's Uniqlo.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Okay. That's a hot tip.
It's a hot tip. Speaking of hot tips. So again, Annie and I are all about like working with yourself and where you're at, and we will never tell you to go on a social media cleanse. Like it's a part of life. It's a part of, especially like we're putting out this podcast. We both like, Annie's pursuing comedy. I do my makeup thing, my content thing. Like social media is a part of our life. So we want to work with it, not against it. If you want to get off social media, go for it. That's not the advice we're going to be giving.
Yeah.
Here are 2 follows I want you to consider. A lot of people don't like the way they look in photos. There is a Instagram and a TikTok, same person. Her handle is literally look good in photos. Her name is Christine. I'm blanking on her last name.
What?
Why
have you never told me about this?
I feel like I have.
No way.
Okay. She literally helps, and she's a mid-sized woman herself. Like she's not like a tiny person. She's like, she is amazing. It's literally called Look Good in Photos. She will teach you how to like how to stand, what to put your arm, where to put your head. Instead of saying cheese or smiling, words to say in your head.
Get out.
It's like it's brilliant. So instead of saying just love yourself in photos, no, us saying that isn't going to do anything.
No,
help yourself. Go follow these creators that are giving you value.
Wow, I didn't know this woman existed.
Look Good in Photos is her handle.
Okay.
Another one I want you to follow, I showed you the other day, is Jen Andrews. She is a stylist that puts like 5 to 10 minute videos. It's like you can't believe you're getting her content for free. And of trends for the season, or like some capsule stuff, but some like if you want to incorporate color into your outfit, here's how you should style it. And I
can't believe that's a question for some people. Like, do you want to try color? Because again, my closet is just like color vomit. But
yeah.
Go on.
But like whatever it is, she models it on, or she picks photos of women in all body types, all skin colors, like.
Wow.
So she's a really good follow for everyone who's just trying to find their personal style. I have a really good friend, Elizabeth Styled XE is her Instagram, and I'm lucky enough to have her number. So like if I'm looking in the mirror trying to put an outfit together, she'll just be like, cuff your jeans, and then like it makes the whole difference of the outfit. You know what I mean? So like follow all these stylists, and once you get on the algorithm of like the Jen Andrews, you'll find more that you like.
Exactly. That is when you can make algorithms work for the betterment of your mental health. Holy moly. That's great.
It's a game changer.
Power. Yeah.
What else do we have on social media and aging? Anything?
Well, a lot of you wrote in about aging of like, I'm trying to age gracefully, but everybody is doing work and then not subsequently talking about the work they're doing.
Yeah.
So
Transparency.
transparency. And so not only is social media messing with my head, but seeing my friend who suddenly has like lifted, filled cheeks. And then I'm like, I don't look like that, is really damaging. So I guess like, I think women should do a service to women and talk about
what
work
they've had done.
that they're doing. But I don't know how to solve the societal problem of alleviating the pressure to do work.
I agree.
Because I
don't
succumb to it.
Yeah, I don't. And also, like, if you have the means to and you want to, look into it. Go to someone really reputable. Like, take the time, because you don't. I mean, no, I don't think anyone wants to look like a pillow face, but. I mean, people do look like a pillow face, but I don't think that's the goal. But listen, a lot of people also on the same kind of vein said, will my body and face ever look the same after having children?
No.
Maybe, or I shouldn't say.
I'm like, no. Well, and it's just just accept it.
Well, maybe or maybe not. Let's say that.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe it will and maybe it won't. And that's, it might and it might not is the answer. Like, that's just the truth.
If you're a normal person with a normal budget and a normal body, it probably will never look the same. And that's okay. It's a beautiful thing that you were able to do.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
But I guess the advice is that, like, so I'll give myself as an example. Okay. After I had my kids, and I actually had a hard time losing the weight. Like, it took me well over a year. Like, I think with Riley, it was like a good 18 months after my second kid before I felt like back to my kind of like comfortable weight in my own skin. And I mean, I was not one of those people who was like wearing jeans home from the hospital, which is insane to me. When I was losing weight though, I lost a ton of volume in my face. And that happens. So I got some filler. Yeah. But all it doesn't, most people can tell, like, I don't know, unless people just weren't like saying anything.
You don't have a pillow face.
I don't have a pillow face, but like, it just kind of, it's more like restorative. I feel like, so if you want to have some restorative filler in your face and you have the money to do it, then do it.
Yeah. Don't feel bad about it.
No.
Don't feel bad about getting it and don't feel bad about not getting it.
Yeah. Exactly. Like, and it doesn't take much. Like, also check these places, like these injectors, like they'll do specials. Like they'll, like get on the websites of the actual like Botox company or the, and they have $50 off here and there. So like, yes, you can do it if you want, but also don't or don't like it's.
And I want to reach out to like I want to talk directly to like our Nashville, New York, LA girlies right now. And men. It's already plural.
Did you just like short circuit on saying the word men?
I think I might have just had a stroke. But
Declan, like
we
that.
live in very, very superficial places.
We do, yeah,
and that's okay. Because Nashville, I think, has a beautiful merriment of superficialness and also normalness. But like, we just remember sometimes that there are certain places that you can live in the country where there are literally people employed by their looks, and so try to not to be so hard on yourself. If you're walking around Nashville, like, everyone is really beautiful here, because they're like, a lot of them are literally trying to become famous musicians.
Right.
And stuff. So just try to have that perspective and be kind to yourself about it, I guess.
Agreed. So I guess from that standpoint, like, do it if you want, don't if you don't. Try to be transparent just as a service to other women. I think that's probably the advice there. Okay. So the last topic we're going to discuss is, it's kind of general, but it was like a lot of your responses to our open-ended question at the end. It was just like, how do I overcome this? How do I overcome thinking about it all the time? How do I overcome comparing myself? How do I overcome social media? All of it, right? And I have a few things. Again, I don't have it figured out. I have really bad days. Like, I just happen to be having a good week. Maybe it's because I got a spray tan this morning. By the way, that's good advice.
Spray tans. They really help.
It's like, your day is different. Your life is different when you're tan. That's just a fact. Or no, it must be science. So I'm going to give you a couple of things that have helped me, that I don't always practice what I preach, but I try to remember. Years and years ago, when I was losing my baby weight after Riley, I was in a very dark place after I was not accepting my body. It was very depressing. And I know a lot of people have been there, and I want you to know I feel for you. A couple things that kind of clicked for me when I was in that season of life. One was Kale Junkie. She's a creator on social media. I was listening to her on a podcast, and she said something, I don't want to misquote, but it was something, because this is like 4 years ago, something to the effect of like, bodies are like a journey, not a destination. So the way your body is today, like, go buy clothes for that body. Don't wear clothes for yesterday's body or tomorrow's body. And by the way, those are different bodies. Buy a pair of jeans or clothes that suit you and make you feel good for your body today. I know that's a privilege. You have to have some money to do that, but whatever. Go to H&M, go to Nordstrom Rack, or you know, TJ Maxx, whatever, and find some clothing that makes you feel really good in your current body.
Yes.
Because it's not fair to yourself there's like this, I don't know if everyone's like this. If I don't fit into a pair of jeans the way I want to, it is a visceral distraction.
All day.
It's depressing. It's like, for me, it's like I've actually talked about this in therapy before. And I have such a tactile sensitivity to the way clothes sit on my body. And if something feels like it's cutting me off, I hate it.
Yeah.
And I love wearing jeans.
I can't focus when it happens.
Can't focus. So wear clothes that you feel comfortable and good in today. That's number one. Number two is enough with body positivity. Enough with it. Because if you are just making yourself if you're making yourself kind of lie to yourself, it's like you're not gonna believe yourself.
Better.
And you're not gonna believe yourself. So I meant
get better by like mentally feel
correct.
Better.
You're not gonna mentally feel better. You're just trying to trick yourself into loving something. Let's forget the word loving and talk about just being neutral on it. I feel like body neutrality is something that really, to me, is more impactful than body positivity. Because if you can just look at yourself, kind of like what we were saying earlier, I'm grateful for my body for being healthy and strong. There are things that I'd like to work on. At the end of the day, I'm like a sack of skin and bones that's moving through this weird thing called Earth. Like, if you can just kind of detach the emotion from the body and just like, this is what I look like. I need to eat to sustain. It'll just be less of a distraction.
Yeah. It's almost like, I want to be body neutral because I'd love to love my body, but I'm also being realistic with myself that everything we just talked about for the last 90 minutes, like it's an uphill, very challenging battle. And that's not my fault. That's not that, like, it's systemically, societally, it is so hard to love your body. And if you can do that, that's great. Keep doing that over anything else in your life, because I'm sure that is unbelievably powerful. But I don't believe I'll love my body, probably. I don't want to hate my body, but I love that idea of like, can I just be neutral about it and be like, God, you're a body. Like you gave me children. You enable me to do amazing push-ups, which I think I'm going to do at the end of this episode. Like you do, you're serving a purpose. You're helping me feel good. I'm nourishing you so that we are in this together.
Yes.
I love that. Body neutrality.
Body neutrality. Just look at yourself as a sack of bones and muscles.
Yeah.
Walking around.
This bag of bones.
Is that a musical? Drinking our silly little coffees and like living this life. Like that's all we are. And it's not that big of a deal. Like try to do that more than I love myself. I'm a queen, which is like great. But it's like come on.
If you don't believe it, I think there's a power of positive thinking and there's a power of like manifesting things. Yes, absolutely. Like the thoughts that you have and the things that you say impact your physical system. But like for me, it's like when I'm looking in a mirror being like, I love the way I look right now. Like I think my body's smart enough to know I'm lying to it. So it's like, I'd rather just be like, all right, here we are.
Another day.
Yeah.
Let's just
I feel like people are going to be really mad at us about this.
I don't care.
It's fine. I
because
really feel
everyone's giving you the same advice and it's not working. So
it's not working.
So this is advice that hopefully works.
Okay. And then I want to say really quick, my therapist, two things. My therapist told me to read the book, The Body is Not an Apology. I'm blanking on the author, but The Body is Not an Apology. I have not started reading it yet. DM me and us. If you want to start reading it with me, I'll read it with you.
Oh, cute.
We'll have a Body is Not an Apology book club. She said that it's one of the books in her life that has changed the way she approaches body image. So I really want to read it. And I also had this therapist be like, why don't you spend some time thinking about when you are self-deprecating about your body, when you're looking at a photo and you feel so awful about yourself, what is your brain trying to protect? Why is that like defense mechanism happening? Why is your brain going there? Like, take it back a layer of like, what happens if you look at a photo and you love it? What would happen that that your body is so afraid of, that your brain is so afraid of, like that this neural pathway has formed where you instantly have an adverse reaction? And spoiler alert, I have spent weeks since that session thinking about this question, and I can't answer it yet.
Interesting.
And I said that to her last week. I was like, I don't know what my body is. I don't know what defense mechanism. I don't know how that is serving me. I don't know. And she was like, well, then you just still need to spend more time thinking about it.
Interesting.
She didn't give it to me like, well, maybe it's that if you really like yourself, then you'll do the things you're scared to do, and you're too scared to do the things you're scared to do. Like, I thought she was going to Miyagi me like that.
Yeah.
But she didn't. She was just like, well, then you need to spend more time thinking about it.
Keep soul searching.
What is it defending in you that is serving a purpose?
Interesting.
Did that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, that's really interesting.
Also DM me if you want to go on that thought pattern journey with me.
It sounds like you could like.
Dex wrote up the author. The Body is Not an Apology by Sonia Renee Taylor.
There we go. Perfect.
So let's read it together.
I've got one more thing, and it's the thing that Annie always laughs at me for. It's actually, I feel like it's a Great Imposters Podcast inside joke at this point.
It is. I already know what you're going to say just with that.
So my last piece of advice is don't diet and exercise in a punitive manner. That is never going to work. You're going to resent it. You're going to have the adverse affection. You're going to have an adverse reaction to that. You're going to start, like, if you deprive and punish, you will binge and resist. Like, that's just the way that we're designed. So focus on, dun dun dun, drum roll please,
Da, 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 da.
intuitive eating and exercising. I know it's like all the rage, but truly the only thing that has ever gotten me to make peace with food, noise, decisions, body image is eating what I want when I want, truly. I know that sounds crazy, but if you really practice it,
I've watched you do it.
if you really practice it and don't restrict, your body craves what it needs. Like I honestly don't like salad. I actually like when you make me salad. I don't like when I make my own salad. Or if it's like at a restaurant, I'll get like a nice Caesar or something, but I'm not like a salad girl.
Okay.
So I don't force myself to eat them.
But so many people would be like, you just have to learn to like salads.
Yeah, but then I feel like I don't force myself to eat them. So when I really want one, I crave it.
Yeah.
You know? And
Yeah.
like I the other day, I was just thinking of this as an example. It was the middle of the day, and as I mentioned earlier, I make the best original recipe Rice Krispie treats. You're not getting the recipe. It's my thing. And I had a batch of them, and I just wanted one so bad. Like after lunch, I'm like, and then I had the thought, I can't eat a Rice Krispie treat in the middle of the day. And then I'm like, why the fuck not? And I ate it, and then it was over. Then the moment was over. The craving was over. I don't think I ate one later that day. Like it doesn't matter. Just like honor your craving in the moment. And if you can try to do that enough times, like your body actually craves protein and vegetables. Like it actually ends up working for you. But you can't deprive yourself.
Yeah.
You can't do it.
Yeah.
And I actually know when I'm full. Like I don't usually finish anything. Like that's
you and my husband.
Yeah, but it's just like I'm so aware of
It's amazing.
of it, and that's really helped me.
Yeah.
Again, I don't have this all figured out. This is just
No, but
for when it's good. For when
Yeah.
I feel good, I can really attribute to a lot of this.
I want to get there. I'm really working on it. One of my issues, which so many of you will relate to, is portion control, and just like so there are times where like I eat as if I was like raised in a family of 10 and my parents were coal miners.
Right.
Like I'm just gonna eat it all right now.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, why did I do
Like
that?
feast or famine, literally.
But that's and that's why I'm so excited to have Vanessa on, because she's changed my life over the last 4 years.
Yeah.
And she is just so good at her trade, and she's helped me lose weight. She's helped me gain muscle. She's helped me do so many things in a way that works for you, because she's not gonna just she reads the studies that say that willpower isn't real. So
Right.
she's not sitting there just like, do more burpees.
Oh my God, stop.
Why'd you eat that Rice Krispie treat, you piece of shit?
Right. Well, that's the other thing about, I mean, in the intuitive stuff is like, I also exercise intuitively. Like I won't do a HIIT workout. My body hates HIIT workouts.
Okay.
Like I don't like lifting. My body doesn't like lifting. I know I need to do like resistance training, but I don't like massive dumbbells. Like it's just not for me. I like low impact workouts and they make me feel good. And that's the same thing. Like I don't like cardio. If you don't want to run, don't run. Just walk.
Yeah.
Like move your body in a way that feels good, and it's better than not exercising and being upset about it.
Right. Or not going to a workout class because you would feel like an imposter there. Then don't go until
Right.
you're ready, until you feel like, if you don't want to go to that Pilates class because it's all like, pillow face, beautiful people.
Yeah.
Don't go to that.
And I
one.
only work out from home. Like there's so many apps and there's so many workouts. You will find your workout, but don't force yourself to do a workout that your body is rejecting.
Yeah.
And you're like, you're kind of like insides are rejecting. Just move your body, and it's 10 minutes of movement is better than none, and it adds up. So
For sure.
just like listen to yourself, be intuitive. I mean, I promise you, it's sustainable.
Yeah. Okay. Last thing I swear is somebody told me to watch the show on HBO called Naked Attraction.
It was me.
It was, okay, so full circle. It was Joelle, but someone else too then.
Okay, maybe.
I think someone else too, because it's this show where they pick a partner based on them being naked, but it's all normal people.
You guys, this show is insane. It's actually a little disturbing, but it's like, just picture like 6 different colored phone booths and this British lady who looks like Flo from Progressive.
Of course it's British.
It's British. Oh, it's not an American show.
Okay.
Flo from Progressive is like the host of the show. She's with the person selecting, and it's all like, some are gay, some are lesbian, some are straight. Like it's all different types of attraction. They start by raising it a third of the way. They raise the phone booth. So you only see their privates and their tushy. And
Tushy,
yeah.
what a cute little word.
And then they judge, and then they get rid of someone based on that. And then they raise it to the chest and torso.
Yeah.
And then they get rid of someone based on that. And then there's like one other, maybe it's the face, and then they get rid of someone based on that. And then the voice, and they get rid of someone. And then they end up with 2 people, and they choose between them. And like no one gets offended. It's so insane.
Yeah.
And you will see every body type.
Someone told me like it will change your life.
It's fascinating. I've had some friends who are like, "What the hell did you tell me to watch?" And I had some friends who were like dying laughing with me.
Yeah,
and like just like this is an unbelievable experiment.
Yeah, it's like everybody says the same thing about like going to a nude beach in Europe. All of a sudden, you're like, "Wait, why do I have all this? Why do I feel so weird about my body?" Like everybody's body has weird things that we shame.
Right.
Every person.
Yes.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's your homework. We can't wait to hear your feedback, guys. Like this is. I know this episode was a little all over the place, but we really feel like it was like 2 really close friends having an intimate conversation that I hope you feel like you're a part of.
Yes.
And we appreciate your feedback. And man, we're excited for this series.
And again, like we're going to have Vanessa to talk about being a personal trainer and a female fitness entrepreneur. And, she's a person who she says about herself that she doesn't feel like she looks like a person who is in fitness, but I think she does, but she's absolutely amazing at it. And then we're going to have Tiffany, who is a stylist for every body type and who helps women and men feel great in what they wear. And she does it to the point now where she does it for lots of famous people.
Amazing. Let us know your feedback on this episode. I hope we helped you. Always send us the message. If you know us personally, send us the text, send us the DM.
Please.
Your feedback is really valuable, especially on this episode. So this has been Joelle.
This has been Annie.
And we'll catch you next time.
Bye.